Good afternoon, and welcome to the final Baseball and Beer podcast of the season. I'm your host, John Ney. Well, it looks like a red October has become a dead October for the Phillies with an embarrassing 3-1 NLDS series loss to the hated rival New York Mets, which once looked like a promising season ended with just disappointment. It's kind of been this way since the All-Star break. They've been close to a 500 team. Obviously, the Mets came in here red hot, and they knocked the Phillies out for the second year in a row. Our bullpen, which had been dependable all year, allowed 17 runs in 4 games. They got absolutely destroyed. Nothing seemed to work. Hoffman, Strom, Kakarin, Estevez, everything Topper tried just backfired. The offense in their 3 losses was virtually non-existent. They scored 5 runs in 3 games. I believe they had 14 hits, somewhere around there, struck out 27 times. And like I said, only produced 5 runs. The troubling part of all this is we saw this last year against Arizona. We actually saw this against Houston in the World Series in 2022. The offense completely shut down. We saw it last year against Arizona, and now we saw it this year against New York. This team has to get more disciplined. I don't know how they're going to change that. Maybe they would start with a new hitting coach is a possibility, or maybe they can look at some film and realize they're just swinging at too much crap. I mean, I counted at least 10 times they could have walked yesterday on 3-1 counts, 3-2 counts, where they're just hacking. Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Real Muto, Marsh, Stott. I mean, just hacking at crap out of the zone. Look, you're not going to get fastballs in the playoffs from these teams with good pitch in it. And, you're not getting the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th reliever like you're getting during the regular season, okay? You're getting the team's top 3, 4 pitchers, and you're getting their top 4 out of the bullpen. So you got to have a better approach and a little more plate discipline. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking a couple walks, getting a big lead, stealing some bases, with the speed this team has, getting in the pitcher's head and making him and waiting for him to make a mistake. And quite frankly, they just have not been able to do that the last couple of years in the playoffs. It's really mind-boggling that it's been 3 years in a row like this now with the same approach. It's just not working. Again, something's got to change. Either the approach at the plate by the hitters, a new coach, if that's what it's going to take, a new hitting coach to come in here and stress to this team what's going on. It has to happen. So today, we're drinking a Slightly Mighty from Dogfish Head Brewery in Milton, Delaware. This is a low-cal IPA. It's got kind of has like a fruity taste to it. There's a monk fruit in it, and with a little bit of bitterness into it. Not a bad beer, good for this time of year, October and all. And, it's got a 4% alcohol by volume, 3.6 carbs, and it's only 95 calories. So it's a good beer if you're, looking to cut back, lose some weight with the cold winter months coming ahead. So it's not a bad one. A little bitter, like I said, but not too bad. So as we enter the off season, I believe owner John Middleton and GM Dave Dombrowski, they have some decisions to make. Obviously, they cannot run the same team back out there. I mean, look, you probably need to bring in, you need to bring in some more players. I mean, some additions, maybe a couple subtractions need to be made. Spots you need to address. Right off the bat, I can think the bullpen. We have Estevez and Hoffman are going to be free agents. I can't see paying the money for Estevez to bring him back, so he's probably gone. Hoffman said he would like to remain here. He looked tough in the playoffs, but he was pretty reliable this year, so I would re-sign Hoffman, get him back in here, and then, possibly look for another late inning, high leverage reliever or 2, or possibly 2. I mean, we saw the decision Topper made yesterday was with Hoffman getting the final 2 outs of the 5th inning, and then he sat in that dugout for 25 minutes. I believe Harper led off with a double. The Mets made a couple pitching changes, And I think Topper sent him out there basically because he was looking at this like I had 4 more innings to go, and I do not have 4 reliable relievers down there. He had Hoffman, Strom, Kirkaren, and Estevez. I don't think he had much confidence in Banks, Alvarado, Allard was in the bullpen down there. This is kind of where not having a fifth starter really hurt this team. You have a fifth starter this year. That guy's sitting down there for this scenario. He could have came in and gave him, the sixth, the seventh inning, and then maybe you're into, Hoffman and Strom and Estevez trying to lock this thing down for possibly a 1-0 win and extending this to Game 5. Another scenario was Christopher Sanchez apparently did not throw his bullpen yesterday on a Wednesday and was available to pitch last night. So I think maybe Topper, Hoffman's sitting for look, relievers come into these games. Energy flowing, it was a high leverage situation there, men on base. Ruiz walked the base load. He comes in, he gets out of that jam. Phillies are still up 1-0. He only threw, I believe, 6 or 7 pitches. I get it. He can come back out and pitch. Phillies go down 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 minutes. Yeah, get him back out there, okay? But again, like I said, I believe it was something like I heard on the radio today, 25 minutes with the pitching changes from the Mets. Harper leading off with a double. I believe there was a walk in there. So, that's too long for a reliever who was up in the second inning warming up in the third inning warming up in the fifth, and finally brought into the game. You see it with relievers. They come in, they pitch, they're done. So, maybe that was a spot for Sanchez. Maybe Topper, I don't know. Maybe he just didn't feel comfortable with that. But that needs to be addressed. We probably need to add 2 more relievers, get him 6 viable, reliable options come playoff time next year. And, where if you run in this scenario again, he has the bullets down there in the bullpen. From what I've seen from JT this year, injuries, starting to look a little older. He's got a lot of games behind him now. He's getting up there in age. I think you need to get a backup catcher in here next year that can play 50 to say 52 games, somewhere around that. JT, about 110 games. Get him some rest, keep him fresh. Stubbs just does not provide enough offense for that, If JT was still catching 140 games a year and you could throw Stubbs out there for 22 for his defense, a couple bump base hits here and there, steal a base, yeah. But you need someone in there 50-plus games. You got to get a good backup catcher, in here. A guy, a little bit of power. Guy maybe hits you 8 home runs, drives in 25 runs there. Somewhere where you're not really missing a whole lot offensively when JT ain't playing. They could have that internally with Rafael Marchand if he can stay healthy, which is a big if. I would probably look on the free agent market this year for a veteran catcher that's, at the end of his career that could come in here for a year for the Phillies and help JT out a little bit, this and that. Yeah, it does have a little bit of bitterness to it. They need to sign an outfielder. That's obvious. I mean, from what we've seen, Rojas does not look like an everyday player out in center field at this stage. Marsh can't hit lefties. He doesn't look like an everyday outfielder. Put them together, maybe you have a decent center fielder next year, okay? Rojas and Marsh splitting time against righties and lefties. At least a spot for a left fielder. They need to go out. They need to find a guy that gets on base. They need someone that's going to hit somewhere around 290, 300, draw somewhere around 80, 85 to 100 walks. Someone who's going to get on base. I don't need the 25 home run, 90 RBI, 260 batting average with 32 walks, and 160 strikeouts. We have enough of that. Get out there, find a 290 to 300 hitter, a guy with some energy, a little pep in that bullpen or in that bench, in that clubhouse. Little guy that'll, bring some fire to the team, get under the other team's nose a little bit. There's plenty of them out there. Whether it comes via free agency or via trade, I believe they need something like that. And I know this is a topic that's been going on forever, but maybe even like a leadoff hitter type of guy there in the leadoff spot. That's, like I said, it's going to be on base. It's going to get 175 hits for you, walk 85, be on base 250, 260 times. It's going to steal 40, 50 bases for you, create some havoc. Same with Turner. Turner is still, believe it or not, he's hitting his 290 at an awful playoff. Swings at a lot of stuff, just like everybody else on his team. So we can't just pinpoint Castellanos and Turner. They're all guilty. So, Turner's another guy. He didn't run a lot this year. I guess the hamstring had a lot to do with it. Get a guy up there in front of him that's going to steal 40 or 50. Get Turner stealing 40 or 50. Get these pitchers off their games. Get them looking over their shoulder at these guys like Harper and Castellanos and Baum are coming up. So, they really probably need to do that. Go out and find that left fielder. Or, maybe you sit back and decide that Rojas and Marshall are fourth and fifth outfielders. You go out and you get a center fielder and a left fielder. That's not that's an option. One via free agency. Again, another one could be via trade. Possibly Justin Crawford Jr. could be here in the second half of the season. He had a good 40 games down in Redden last year when they brought him up. Hit over 330. I believe they would probably start him in the season again in Double-A Reading. If he has a good spring, they could bump him up quickly up to Triple-A and see what he does, and possibly he could be a guy that could come up here and help out in the second half. So that's another option to keep an eye on. The starting pitching, look, we didn't have a number 5 this year. It was a tough spot. Walker's been terrible. I would imagine after not even being on the roster this year for the playoffs, they're probably just going to give him his $36 million that he's owed the next 2 years and probably send him on his way. That would probably be best. Andrew Painter, the good news, is pitching in the Arizona Fall League this year. So if he can get through that healthy, and all signs are pointing to, he will, and, he's back, his surgery was successful, and he'll be ready for spring training. There's a possibility he breaks camp with the team, or maybe they want to send him down to Double-A or Triple-A to get a couple months down there. So the fifth spot next year, you have Wheeler, you have Nola, Sanchez, and Suarez. Suarez, he battled last night. He's been injured. His last 5 or 6 starts haven't been great, coming off an injury, back, a hamstring. So he wasn't all there. So I expect him to be healthy again next year. That's a great top 4. If you could throw in a Spencer Turnbull for, maybe a month or 2 in the 5th spot to start next year until Painter's ready, I mean, that's a good problem to have right there. Painter comes up, maybe Turnbull goes to the bullpen as the 8th man. Or maybe they send him back to the minors to just be get down the minors and keep pitching. And, somebody needs a rest. You want to go to a 6-man rotation in September, Turnbull will be the first guy up. Look, this team needs a couple tweaks. Like I said, a left fielder, backup catcher, a couple relievers. Middleton will spend the money. We have some prospects to trade. This team, a lot of people I've been hearing on the radio today blow it up. You're not blowing this team up with the contracts they have. Let's be honest here. They've been in the playoffs 3 years already. They won 95 games this year, for Christ's sakes. It's not getting blown up. The best thing to do is to add to it. Add a few pieces this year. You got some minor leaguers coming, like I said, probably this year, Painter and Crawford. In 2026, you got Miller coming up, you have, who else is coming up quick? Acaba, a shortstop. Tate, a catcher, probably closer to 27 for him. So, this core still has three good years left to try to win, and they got the replacements there. They have JT's replacement in Tate. He's a top 5 prospect. Look, maybe they decide to move on for Stott and Turner in 2 years, and Caba comes up, he can play short or second. Turner's got a big contract. Sure, somebody would take that on for a player like that. If not, Stott's another guy who would probably fetch would fetch some players. So he's still young. Or you decide to move Caba, a prospect, for a couple of players. I mean, there's options. Baum had, after his injuries, a tough month here. He was benched in game 2. Apparently, they don't like his attitude. It looks like he's been whining a little bit, this and that. So, maybe Baum's a guy they're going to move on from in 2 years. He's here next year. Maybe in 26, Miller's the third baseman. But this team's got time, folks. We have 3 to 5 years with these prospects coming up, and Middleton's willingness to spend money. It's just teams just has to put it together. Their core players have to get out there. The Harpers, the Schwarbers, they have to be better at the plate, and that's the bottom line. I mean, this team's good. We saw it. This is a good team. They've been in the playoffs 3 years in a row. They ran into a hot Arizona team. They ran into a hot New York team. Same way the Braves ran into a hot Phillies team in 2022 and 23. So, it happens. The best team don't always win. The Mets have been the hottest team, them and the Padres, in the second half of the season. The Phillies have not. So, they got to get clicking at the right time next year. Maybe, get in September, take it, I don't want to say a little more serious, but like maybe Topper's got to get on them a little more next year come September, and stress the importance of getting hot down the stretch and getting out there. So, look, free agency will start after the World Series. Spring training, second week of February. I know we're all disappointed. We're all angry. It happens. I mean, no one's more disappointed and angry than I am right now, but I do have faith in this team in Middleton. I have faith in Dombrowski to make the right adjustments. And it's only going to be a few. They only need a few. So that's all I have for this season, folks. It's been my pleasure bringing this podcast to you this year. I hope you all enjoy it. I look forward to seeing you all and having you back listening to me and some of my co-hosts when they come on for me for the 2025 season. I'm hoping to get out to a little more live podcast, hoping to get a few more from down the stadium, the parking lot, some tailgates, get some fans interacting with us. Hope to bring you a couple live ones from some breweries. I have a few connections that have gone on. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again next year. Have a great winter month coming up. Great holidays, Christmas and all. And I'll see everybody back here at the end of March, start of April for the 2025 season of the Phillies Baseball and Beer Podcast. Have a great winter, everybody, and a great year.